Hey guys, I'd like to talk today about New Age dogma, or dogma in general. Dogma means ritual, traditions around a concept. That's what dogma means. It's the trappings that we wrap around something that is deep and spiritual. And when I was regressed, one of the things that I came back with was it's far simpler than we make it. It's far simpler than we make it. Since the dawn of spirituality, man has tried to wrap something around it so they can understand it. The majority of the Bible is exactly that. It is trying to wrap something and give something a structure so they can understand it and wrap around it. You know, I recently went on a YouTube channel, which hasn't been updated in 9 or 10 years, just to see what some New Age person was talking about, and so found out, first of all, they haven't been on for 9 years, but second, as I watched the last videos he did, he was talking about, this council of 12 ascended masters that rule over us all, and we have to put trust and power in them, and this structure that was created for people to follow, and he truly expected people to give themselves to this council of 12, which was, just adding more stuff. But you look at what he's saying, and you look at what he was teaching, and then you go back and you look at the Old Testament, and you find the same sorts of people trying to find structure to put around something that's so simple. Occam's razor says that the simplest solution is usually the right one. And when you look at that idea, water, when it flows downhill, takes the easiest route, right? Why wouldn't spirituality be the same way? Why wouldn't spirituality be the simplest form? One of the first things that I want to talk about in this dogmatic structure that gets built is the concept of polarity, the yin yang, the good, the evil, the opposite ends, right? Oftentimes, people take those structures and put personality on them. God and the devil. They create these structures, or sometimes they'll say, you have to have an opposing force to. And in some ways, I believe that's true. But the opposing force, in my opinion, and this is just my belief, you can take your belief. And I completely respect you for that. In my belief, fear is the opposite of love. But in my belief also, fear was given to us by love so that we can experience love. We have been given fear so that we can feel the separation from love. But fear itself is not its own personal identity. It is not a devil. It is just basically a blinder for love, so we can experience God fully, experience the love of God fully, and the love of God is love. The Apostle John wrote, "God is love," and God is love is interpreted in many, many ways. But when you look at the scientific world around you, everything you see, and I've said this many times, everything you see is made of atoms. Everything you see, including your body, your physical form, is a pure energy event. Let me say that again, pure energy event. It is a vibration that I identify as love. Everything you see is love. And by being given fear, and this place that we come to is a place of fear, by being given fear and the control of our fear, we get to not see a lot of love or see a lot of love, depending on how we work with our fear. But we're in control of our fear. And the concept of putting a dogmatic story on fear having its own personality and being separate from us, and God being separate from us and having his own his/her own personality, it's completely antithetical to Jeshua's teachings. We are one, and the eternal life comes when we realize that we are one, and we come to that space where we realize that we're not the physical illusion, we're not the fear-based reality that we are living in, this illusion. We are more. We are part of the one source, and our consciousness is part of the one source, which is why people can be talking and pull words out of nowhere that they've never even thought of, that just happen to be the exact right word for that moment. They can pull that out because they're connected to everyone's consciousness, God's consciousness. Everything's one. Everything is one. And when you dive into these, breaking it out into the Council of 12 or even healing. What is healing? Healing is the intention of giving love, and on the person who is healed side, healed person's side, it's their intention of accepting love, accepting that pure, healthy energy into their body. My biggest challenge in life right now is against dogma, against ritual, culture, and structures placed around something so simple that Jeshua taught. Just be love. Just be love. If you can just be love, then you can go out into this world and you can change the world. You can change your part of the world today, right now, just by being loving. But don't go into love. Don't go into love fearfully. I'm afraid. I'm going to go love today, but I hope this turns out okay. No. Just be love, and your life changes. Your world changes. And don't wrap giant structures around what love is, what God is, because God is everything. Everything you're experiencing. That person that you see on the side of the road with the cardboard in his hand, a lot of people will look at that person and say, well, I'm not giving them money because I'll just buy booze, right? And when you look at that person, it's not about what they're going to do with that money. It's about how you treat that other person, what you give to that other person. Now, you can give them money, you can bring them food. You can sit down and talk with them and have a conversation and find out where they are and how they're lost. You can do loving things for them, right? You can give them the $1, give them the $5, give them the $20, give them the $100, and realize it was a loving gesture. Don't make a story around what they're going to do with that money. For all you know, they might have 10 kids at home and they're going to buy food for their 10 kids. You don't know. Here's the other thing. When you look at that same person, the loving person would look at that person and say, my gosh, no matter what their circumstances in life, to be so desperate, to debase yourself so much to stand outside and beg, that's got to be a terrible place. Just the smallest connection you make with that person is loving. The little bit of money you give them is loving. And hopefully they'll do the right choices for their own life. But it's not for you to decide that before you give, right? That's my point about this. It's not about, do I first pray to God, and do I first then take communion before I go do something loving? No. Be love. Just be love. That's the simple solution to it all, right? Don't look for the Council of the 12. Don't look for the devil to be incarnated in the world, because when you seek for a path will be made before you. If you seek for a devil, you'll see reasons to believe in a devil. because that's what was promised. God said, whatever you ask is granted. And if you ask for a devil, and if you ask for issues, and you ask for needing to have structure, you're actually creating it. Whereas in reality, you can also ask for simple love, simple being one. You can go to that place and believe into reality the simplicity of love and joy, and not dive into. I often have comments that will dive into Bible passages and everything, and I love them. I love them. I love those conversations because they help me cement my beliefs. Because they usually start with well, how can you say this, blah, and then whatever I said, they go against it, which is fine. I don't mind when someone disagrees with me. I love it. Love it. However, the more I read, the more I see judgment. They're judging me for what I said, which is fine. But if they're constructively talking to me, I had a beautiful one this morning, very constructive conversation. I'm not referring to any specific comment, and the one today was lovely, lovely. And I thoroughly appreciated the way that was handled. I thought that was just because it was a conversation as opposed to an attack. But others are very much attacks. And I'm okay with that too, because it doesn't tell me where I am, because I am as God's name and I am love. And when I see the way they come at me, they're not coming from a loving place. They're coming because their beliefs are being challenged. And they're coming at me because of the fact that it goes against everything they believe or something they believe. And that's, your beliefs should be constantly challenged. You should look at your challenge and go, okay. And for me, I will tell you honestly, for me, the beliefs that I have now, when challenged, always rise to the top and always supersede it all. Because it's simple. Spirituality is a feeling and a being, not a thinking and a knowing. And if you can stay in the feeling and the being, be love. Be love. Gandhi says you must be the change you want to see in the world. Right? Buddha says the secret to enlightenment is the eradication of fear. Right? The Bible says, as a man thinketh, so is he. So if your thoughts are devil and dogma and ritual, that's your experience. But when you strip all that away and you get down to God is love, you find a simplicity that is beautiful and elegant, a simplicity that is truthful, because you know that I don't have to debate whether the structure I'm putting around things is right or not, because you're coming down to the core essence of God, which is love. And we often in this world will learn some modality or some new structure, and then we'll try to make sense of it by going back and saying, well, this must be what Joshua did, or this must be what Buddha did, or Krishna did, or this is how they did it. Which, how do you know? How do you know? The only thing you know about all of these avatars, these beings who have reached an enlightenment that you are not personally carrying, is the only prevalent thing in all of it is love and kindness. That's the only loving thing. The Prophet Muhammad, he who knows not kindness has no faith, right? Kindness. The Dalai Lama, my religion is simple. My religion is kindness. This kindness, this love, being loving and kind, is the core essence of all of it, right? Right? Joshua, I leave you this one commandment: love one another. I leave you this one commandment: love one another. Everything is simple. And in my regression, that's what I came back with. Everything is so simple that we have a hard time wrapping our head around it. But the more you wrap your head around it and get to that space of, I am just being love. I am being an essence. I am being the essence of God here on earth. I am bringing that feeling, that vibration here and creating a vibration around me that will affect others. Love one another. That's it. Don't get stressed out about the literal translations of the Bible or the Quran or the Bhagavad Gita or the Vakanamrut. Don't get trapped into the literal translations, because they're just wrapping structure around a simple truth. Live the simple truth and you'll have a joyful, simple, easy life, as opposed to struggling with what this means. Spirituality is not that. Spirituality is a being and a feeling. Have a great day, and I'll talk to you soon. See ya. Bye.